Part 1. When the eye begins to open. There came a night when everything I believed about reality was shattered. I was alone in the desert, under a sky so vast it felt like I could fall into it. I hadn't slept in 2 days. My body was exhausted, but my mind was alert in a way I had never known. And then it happened, not a hallucination, not a dream, but a crack in the veil. I saw threads connecting moments, people, thoughts like golden filaments woven across time, and I understood, in a way beyond language, that nothing was random. That was the moment my third eye truly opened, and the signals I'd once ignored became a flood of truth. What if I told you that everything you've ever labeled coincidence was actually a message? That the universe has never stopped speaking to you, only that you've been trained not to listen. The third eye is not just a chakra, not just a mystical concept, it is the receiver of universal intelligence. It is the lens through which meaning is decoded from chaos. And once it begins to awaken, you realize that synchronicity is not anomaly, it is architecture. We are taught to believe that reality is linear, that events happen in isolation. But when your third eye begins to open, that illusion collapses. You start to notice patterns. You start to feel time differently. You begin to experience thought as energy that moves outward and returns in form. The people you meet, the words you hear, the numbers you see, all of it becomes part of an intricate language. A language designed to awaken you.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
But the third eye doesn't open through force. It opens through attention, through presence, through the willingness to question everything. You must begin to observe your life not just as a sequence of events, but as a mirror. What is life reflecting back to you over and over? What patterns are repeating? What signs are you ignoring because they don't fit your logic? The universe is not subtle. You are simply distracted. Synchronicities are not just feel-good moments. They are sacred instructions. They are real-time feedback from the field of consciousness. But here's the truth, most people miss them. Not because they don't happen, but because we are addicted to noise, to distraction, to disbelief. So if you want your third eye to awaken, you must begin with silence. Not the absence of sound, but the presence of stillness. That is when the signals begin to rise. When you see 11:11 on the clock, what do you feel? Do you shrug it off? Or does something stir inside you? That moment of stirring, that subtle shift in awareness, that is the third eye beginning to blink. It's not about the number. It's about the invitation. The universe is asking, are you paying attention? Are you awake enough to see what I'm showing you? Every synchronicity is a doorway, but it only opens if you walk through it. To decode synchronicity, you must become a student of your own perception. Begin to track what you feel when something strange happens. Did you think of a person seconds before they called? Did a song play that answered a question you hadn't spoken aloud? Did a stranger use the exact words you were journaling the night before? Write it down. Honor it. The more you record, the more you remember. And the more you remember, the more the universe reveals. The third eye doesn't just see beyond, it sees through. Through illusion, through story, through ego. It reveals the architecture behind the appearance. And that level of seeing can be disorienting. because you'll begin to feel how deeply interconnected everything is, and that means nothing is random, including your pain, including your patterns, including your purpose. Are you ready to admit that the universe has been responding to you all along? Synchronicity is not just a spiritual experience, it is a quantum one. Thoughts are energy, emotions are frequency. The third eye is the harmonizer between intention and manifestation. When your thoughts and emotions align with awareness, you create resonance. That resonance sends a signal into the field, and the field responds with signs, symbols, and sequences that reflect your vibration. You are not a passive receiver. You are a participant. So how do we sharpen this inner eye? First, we must unlearn the idea that only what is physical is real. The third eye does not perceive in the same way as your physical eyes. It perceives meaning, not matter. It sees the why behind the what, and that requires you to be willing to feel more than you think. The more you live from sensation, intuition, and presence, the more the signals become undeniable. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you followed a gut feeling, and it led you to something you could never have planned? What if that feeling wasn't just intuition, but a whisper from the field? What if your third eye was trying to guide you, but you labeled it irrational? How many miracles have you missed by staying logical? Sometimes synchronicities will challenge you. They won't all be soft and comforting. Some will disrupt your plans. Some will push you toward endings. Some will confront your denial. The third eye doesn't open to entertain, it opens to liberate. And liberation often begins with dismantlement. So if you've been seeing repeated signs and ignoring them, ask yourself, what truth am I afraid to face? There is a kind of sacred mathematics to it all. The same numbers, the same animals, the same phrases, they start to appear in clusters. That's not a glitch, that's a code. When we begin to decode synchronicity, we realize that the universe is not random, it is responsive. Your thoughts are data. Your emotions are input. The field is the interface. The signs are the output. And the third eye is the decoder. But decoding is not the same as interpreting. Anyone can Google angel number meanings. But your third eye doesn't rely on definitions. It relies on direct knowing. How does the sign feel in your body? What did you think seconds before it arrived? What emotion rose when you saw it? That is your message, not someone else's system. Your unique energetic fingerprint determines what a sign means for you. This is why the third eye is so deeply personal. No one can open it for you. No one can interpret your life like you can. You are the only one who truly knows what a sign means when it lands. And the more you trust that inner knowing, the more clear the messages become. Doubt is static. Trust is amplification. The third eye thrives on trust. And over time, as your trust deepens, synchronicity becomes your compass. You begin to navigate not by logic, but by alignment. You learn to follow the flow, even when it defies your plans. And in doing so, you step into the slipstream of divine timing. You begin to feel carried, guided, held by something greater, but also deeply within. The third eye is not just a portal to the universe, it is the universe seeing through you. Now ask yourself, if every moment is potentially a message, how would you live differently? Would you rush through your day? Or would you slow down enough to catch the whisper? Would you dismiss the strange as coincidence? Or would you lean in and ask, what are you showing me now? Because the universe is speaking. Now, it's your turn to see. Part 2, the hidden architecture of messages. Once your third eye begins to awaken, there is a quiet revolution in how you experience life. You no longer see the world as a series of disconnected events, but rather as an intelligent, responsive organism, a living mirror. The universe doesn't just observe you from a distance. It dances with your every step, echoing your thoughts in the fabric of reality. The more deeply you realize this, the more precise your attention must become. Because now, every moment has meaning, every pattern carries power, and every subtle sign may hold a message meant solely for you. Let's explore this architecture of synchronicity. It's not linear, it's holographic. A single symbol can contain layers of meaning, depending on your state of consciousness. A feather on your path might mean protection when your heart feels unsafe, but freedom when you're resisting change. A repeated number might signal alignment, or it might warn you of imbalance, depending on your internal climate. This is why decoding universal signals is not a matter of memorization, it's a matter of resonance. You must feel your way through them. So how do we refine our ability to feel? We begin by cultivating energetic stillness. When the body is tense, the mind is loud. And when the mind is loud, the third eye becomes muffled. You can't decode subtle signals when you're locked in survival mode. This is why spiritual practice matters. Not as a ritual for show, but as a return to clarity. Whether it's breath work, meditation, stillness in nature, or even deep listening, these are not luxuries. They are technologies of perception. As you develop this inner stillness, you begin to notice that synchronicities don't just happen to you, they respond through you. You may think of someone, and they call. You may speak a truth, and the universe answers in a song, a headline, or a perfectly timed phrase. It's not magic, it's mirroring. The external becomes a feedback loop for your internal state. So the real mastery is not in manipulating the signs, it's in mastering your signal. What are you broadcasting into the field? Not just in thought, but in emotion and belief. Because the universe doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to what you are. The third eye doesn't just help you see signs. It helps you see yourself clearly, without distortion. And that clarity is what makes your life magnetic. Not because you control the universe, but because you finally stop resisting its rhythm. There will be moments when the signals are so strong, so precise, that disbelief becomes impossible. You'll think of a childhood memory, and someone will mention it minutes later. You'll ask for confirmation, and a stranger will say the exact phrase you needed to hear. You'll be pulled to take a different route home and avoid some unseen danger. These are not flukes. These are affirmations. They are evidence that the universe is not just alive, it is awake with you. But here's the deeper truth. The more you awaken your third eye, the more responsible you become for your focus. Because now you are no longer just reacting, you are transmitting. Every thought is a seed. Every emotion is a sculptor. Every belief is a container. And the field listens to it all. So if you want clearer signs, become a clearer signal. If you want aligned guidance, live in aligned integrity. Let me ask you something that may challenge your current reality. What if every problem you've encountered was secretly coded with guidance? What if nothing has gone wrong? What if the pain, the delay, the ending, what if all of it was a message you didn't yet know how to read? Can you sit with that possibility, even if it contradicts your story? Because sometimes the most powerful signals come wrapped in discomfort. Sometimes the universe speaks clearest through endings. The third eye doesn't just help you read signs, it helps you rewrite your narrative. Because once you realize that you are a participant in the universal dialogue, victimhood dissolves. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What is this showing me?" That shift alone opens the floodgates. The moment you take radical ownership of your perception, the universe begins to respond with radical precision. There is a point in the journey when synchronicities evolve. They move from outer signs to inner knowings. You no longer need external confirmation because your inner compass becomes so attuned. A yes vibrates in your bones. A no tightens your chest. You feel truth before it's spoken. You sense outcomes before they unfold. This is not guessing. This is alignment. And your third eye becomes less of a tool and more of a state of being. But even in this awakened state, you must remain humble. The ego will try to hijack your sight. It will use synchronicity to validate its own importance. Be vigilant. Not every sign is meant to inflate you. Some are meant to dismantle you, to soften your pride, to humble your certainty, to guide you back to presence. So always ask, is this sign feeding my soul or just my identity? Another layer of decoding is the emotional imprint. Every synchronicity carries an energetic signature. A repeated number may seem neutral, but if it stirs awe or a sense of mysterious peace, that's part of the message. Pay attention to your state when a sign appears. Was your heart open? Were you in resistance? Were you asking for guidance, or were you avoiding it? The energy of the moment is part of the signal. Don't miss the context by rushing to interpret the content. And now we must speak of dreams. Because the third eye does not close when you sleep, it becomes even more active. Your dreams are not random. They are encrypted messages from your subconscious and the universal field. They carry guidance, healing, and sometimes even premonition. Keep a dream journal. Treat your dreamscape as sacred ground. The more you honor your night vision, the more vivid and direct it becomes. Nature is another powerful conduit. When the third eye is open, you begin to feel the intelligence in the wind, the language of birdsong, the messages in the movement of clouds. This is not superstition, it is sensitivity. The natural world is not separate from the spiritual one. It is the oldest living text. And when you tune your perception, you realize that trees listen. Water speaks. Light carries codes. The earth itself becomes a teacher. And yet, the most profound synchronicity is you. Your existence, your breath, your consciousness waking up inside a body in a world of infinite complexity. You are not outside the field, looking in. You are the field, waking up to itself. That is what the third eye reveals, not just signs, but oneness. The realization that everything you see, Everything you feel, everything you witness is part of the same great intelligence. So let me ask you once more, what are you ignoring that's been trying to reach you? What signs have you dismissed as coincidence? What inner knowing have you silenced because it didn't align with your plan? The universe is not silent, it is reflective. And the more you listen, the more you live in a world where nothing is random and everything is sacred. The third eye doesn't make you special. It makes you available. Available to meaning, available to guidance, available to the dance of co-creation. And when you live in that availability, reality becomes your oracle. Every moment speaks. Every breath is a message. Every step is guided. This is the new way of seeing. This is the ancient way of remembering. Part 3. Seeing from the soul's horizon. When the third eye is fully awakened, the veil between the seen and unseen no longer separates you, it includes you. You don't just observe synchronicity from afar, you live within it. The ordinary becomes enchanted. The mundane becomes mythic. You realize that life itself has always been a conversation with the divine, and the only thing that ever kept you from hearing it was your own forgetting. But now you are remembering. At this level of awareness, you begin to experience a different kind of time, not clock time, but kairos, divine timing. Moments arrive with an unmistakable sense of rightness. People enter your life like puzzle pieces. Choices arise not from planning, but from a deep, resonant yes in your body. You stop chasing outcomes and start aligning with currents. And the current is always pointing toward your highest unfolding, even if it first looks like chaos. Synchronicity now becomes your compass. You no longer ask for signs out of desperation. You begin to co-create them. You speak your truth, and the universe confirms it. You release a pattern, and doors open. You follow your intuition, and alignment becomes your new normal. This is not superstition, it is sovereignty. You are no longer a passenger in your life. You are the navigator, the dreamer, the decoder of your own divine script. And yet, the deeper you go, the more you realize the paradox. The more you see, the less you need to know. Certainty dissolves into trust. Control fades into surrender. You stop needing to understand every sign and instead begin to feel them. You become fluent in the language of vibration. A glance, a silence, a breath becomes as meaningful as a thunderclap. You realize that the universe does not shout, it resonates. Let me ask you something only your soul can answer. What if the signal you've been waiting for is already within you? What if the answers you seek have been echoing in your body for years, waiting for you to become quiet enough to feel them? What if the third eye is not about seeing more, but about needing less to believe? At this level, you stop looking for magic because you've become it. This is where the third eye becomes a portal, not just a perception. You begin to access higher dimensions of consciousness. You may receive downloads, bursts of insight that feel as if they came from beyond you, yet are intimately familiar. You may see symbols in meditation, feel the presence of guides, or experience time as a fluid, non-linear river. These moments are not fantasies, they are remembrances. The veil is not lifting, you're simply piercing through it. But with this power comes responsibility. You must be discerning. Not every voice you hear is truth. Not every signal is guidance. The third eye is clear only when the heart is open and the ego is quiet. So ask yourself, with every message you receive, does this expand me or contract me? Does it lead me to love or fear? Does it align with my soul or feed my shadow? Discernment is not doubt, it is spiritual maturity. And now, something profound begins to happen. You start to radiate synchronicity. Your presence becomes a message to others. People feel drawn to you without knowing why. Conversations become catalytic. Your energy starts to shift rooms. You are no longer seeking signs, you're giving them. Not through effort, but through embodiment. You've become the mirror the universe uses to wake others up. Imagine this: someone crosses your path, and just by being fully present, you spark a realization in them. You didn't say anything special. You didn't try to teach. You simply carried coherence. That is third eye living. Not performance, but presence. Not knowledge, but transmission. You become a living oracle, and your life becomes a sacred text. Still, even at this level, humility is essential. You will continue to be tested. You will still have moments of doubt, confusion, and forgetfulness. But now you meet those moments differently. You don't resist them, you listen to them. Because now you know even your disorientation holds a message. Even your silence is a signal. You no longer fear the void, you honor it. This is the true power of the awakened third eye. It reveals that everything belongs. The beauty and the breakdown. The joy and the unraveling. The clarity and the cloud. All of it is part of this sacred choreography. All of it is a code. And your job is not to control it, but to decode it with love. Let's speak now of integration. Because awakening the third eye is not the end, it's the beginning of a new kind of life. A life where your choices are guided not by fear, but by resonance. A life where your vision is not limited to your eyes, but reaches into the soul of things. A life where you no longer chase alignment, you live as it. Begin to make decisions based on inner knowing, not outer noise. Listen for whispers in your body before you consult the world. Trust the pull that has no explanation. When you feel a message in your bones, you don't need validation, you need courage. The third eye gives you vision, but it's your heart that must act on it. And remember, not all synchronicities are about you. Sometimes they appear so you can guide someone else. So stay open, stay generous. When you see a message that's meant for another, don't keep it, offer it. You are part of the universal language now. And that means you are both student and messenger. The greatest gift of decoding synchronicity is this: you realize that you are never alone. Not for a single moment. You are held in a web of intelligence so vast, so precise, so loving, that even your confusion is cradled in purpose. The third eye doesn't just help you see that, it helps you be that. A conscious thread in the tapestry, a voice in the chorus. A living, breathing frequency of divine participation. So now, as you walk forward, ask not for more signs, but for deeper sight. Ask not for more magic, but for deeper meaning. And most of all, ask not for the universe to speak louder, but for your soul to listen more clearly. Because the truth is, the signals have always been there. The question is, are you ready to live as the one who sees?